just want to give a bit of flavor of what we are going to practically produce and how this could help managing authority really in the work. So one of the first outcomes of the project is an inventory of methods and tools that have been used or who have been developed by the scientific community but have not yet been used but are ready to be put into practice. And this inventory would be, I'm going to change slide, would be available online to anyone. So just to give you a bit the timeline of this activity. So beginning of March, we started to conduct interviews with practitioners, people who are actually using those tools, and trying to understand how those tools have been used, for which purpose, what were the limitations, what would they have liked to have, or why did they use one tool instead of another? Was due to time constraint? Was it because of data constraints? Or it was used for a very, very specific purpose, so they needed a very specific tool. So we are currently finalizing those interviews, and then we will complete by end of July, a full inventory of those methods and tools. And hopefully in September, we will be able to launch this online inventory. And this inventory will be updated twice during the life of the project, but will remain after the project life. So it will be updated in January 25 and then in January 26. So just to give you an overview of what we are covering. So those methods and tools, we have divided them in 4 broad categories. The first category look at participatory and multi-stakeholder tools. For instance, certain type of stakeholder consultation, focus and working expert group, cumulative votings. Of course, all those methodology words are buzzing, and most of you knows what they encompass, what they mean. However, it's not because you know about the tools that you know how to use it in the best way. So let's think about a screwdriver. If you are renovating something, a house, well, we all have seen how a screwdriver works, and in theory, we know how to use it. However, we are not all really, let's say, really good at using them. So here, the intention behind this inventory and later on in the Tools for CAP project is really, okay, these those tools available, but how to use them and how do they best deliver? So that's for the first category. The second category is policy analysis tools for ex-ante evidence-based decisions. So looking at simulations tools in order to predict what will be the potential impact. We put ex-ante or evidence-based decisions. So it could also be used as an impact assessment tool, but also to compare the different scenario analysis. The third family of tools is policy choice supporting tools. So when we are facing different policy choices, we can use different, let's say, methodology in order to assess what would be the best path. So we are thinking about logic models, theory of change, coherence matrix, multi-criteria decision, and planning tools. The fourth one is the monitoring tools for data and knowledge stock taking. So here we are looking more at the side of the implementations and really what are existing, like tools for integrating database, how can we use social media analytics in the monitoring plies, all the new AI data interpretation tools that are currently booming, and of course also precision farming data tools. So here we see the link with the scale data. So we are really looking what is ready, available for for those tools. So under each of those family, what are the tools out there and what is coming up from the inventory? So for instance, for the participatory and multi-stakeholder tools, we have the example of the word cafe methodology used in Germany. So the word cafe method was used to structure the discussion around different issues and it involves different stakeholders, and it was specifically used here to inform the SWOT analysis. Why did the managing authority decided to use that tools? It is often used to cross-pollinate ideas and build upon each other's contribution. So, for instance, if you are in the stakeholder consultations where there is 100 participants, well, the Word Cafe is set up in such a way that you are building on each other's contributions. So you are not in an open space, you are sitting on different tables, like in a cafe, and you are rotating. And therefore, you don't have a confrontation between hundreds of participants. You really have exchange and meaningful conversations on sometimes very, let's say, challenging issues. And you use this type of methodology to start to have more creative solutions around specific issues. Another area is a policy analysis tool for ex-ante evidence-based decisions. So a typical approach is to use models, so quantitative models. And here we took the example of the farm model, MKMG. So here the objective of this tool was to support intervention setting and budget allocation by testing different scenarios at farm level. It was used also for fair farm income. So in order to assess whether or not the fairness of farm income supports and looking at different scenarios and searching for more equal gross margin per unit of labor engaged. So they compare different scenarios and really look what was the best fit, regarding fair income distributions. So this tool was really used for a specific purpose. Why did I decide to use this tool instead of another? One of the strengths of this tool was the fact that it was running at farm level, but it could be aggregated at, let's say, livestock sector or crop sector, and then even further on at the agricultural sector level. The second strength of that model is that this model could be linked to any other models deem appropriate. So it was not only a silo approach, it could potentially be linked the result to other models. So how did it work practically? So they do scenario analysis and they really modelize the impact of direct payment, eco-scheme, and less favor area measures. And they also modelize what could be the potential uptake of voluntary-based measures. And that was useful in order to decide on the budget allocation for the different type of interventions modelized. The output generated by this type of model was different indicators, economic, technological indicators, environmental indicators. I'm not going into in details, but that's the type of information you would get in going into the inventory. The third the third area of method and tools are policy choice support tools. So that can, for instance, we know that intervention logic have been used in the Netherlands, constrained cumulative voting here in Italy, but also cumulative voting in Lithuania. So we are harvesting all those tools that have been used, but we also are looking at other tools that have not been used, such as the theory of change, that could be used for supporting policy choices. But here, a specific example is named the constrained cumulative voting and was used in Italy. Here's a Italian ministry in development with National Rural Network, develop a participatory roadmap to assess the prioritization of the identified needs. So that was really used when
you have muted yourself. Yeah.
Sorry.
No worries.
So when we saw the different steps in the different CAP, in the design of the national CAP strategic plan, one of the first one was to identify the needs and then to prioritize them. And these tools was used in order to support the decision around prioritizing the needs. So it was used as a in order to really collect informations in all regions, and it became very pertinent to introduce specific instruments and to facilitate participation process and having a bottom-up approach. So it's based on the voting aggregation technique, with the ways online voting, classification, discrepancy analysis. And the idea was also to compare the outcome of this study with the consultation that took place with the stakeholders. In terms of output, where the process identified makes it possible, on one hand, to formulate shared consensus, and on the other hand, to determine homogeneous group of needs by importance of interventions. And finally, the latest area of method and tools that we are looking at is monitoring tools for data and knowledge stock taking. Here, there is several examples that I could quote: the use of AI, so artificial intelligence for geotag photo interpretations. So that was used in Malta. There is also live conversation with beneficiaries. That's happened, for instance, in Lithuania. We see integrated database interface in Czechia. Also, Synapse is interpretability database system that has been used in France, Classifam in Italy. So there is many different tools and methods. I think there is at least 28 different tools and methods used across the different member states. So just an example here, so is the use of and the host keep muting me. Sorry. Can you still hear me?
It's fine now, yes.
Yeah. Basically, they use artificial intelligence to actually interpret a geotag photo. So this could significantly enhance the monitoring process in the future to automatize and provide more accurate analysis of real-time of geotag photo, and it could increase simplification and reduce administrative burdens. And currently, this system is under development and is being tested. And the type of output that we are looking at is automatic classification of let's say, geographic informations. So how is going to look like? So this inventory is is still under work. So it's really a preliminary results that we are explaining to you today. But ultimately it will be online. So imagine you will go on the website and you will see a database where per methodological area. So for instance, here we have policy choice supporting tools. You could classify those tools, for instance, depending on the design steps. So whether they were using the need assessments or in the intervention logic. And then we have also defined different criteria to assess those tools. For instance, applicability, to which extent the tools can be used to different purpose. The scope, is it working at farm, sectoral, or agricultural level, or is it useful for to engage with a restrained number of participants or large group? Or the ease of use, do you need specific training in order to be able to develop that tools? We will also look at efficiency of those tools. And when we talk about efficiency, it's not, scientific efficiency, but really from a practical point of view, how much time do you need in your hand in order to have the first result out of these tools? How much does it cost? How much training do you need behind it in order to be able to use those tools? And also we will look at transparency, for instance, to which extent, like, can you receive external feedback? Is it open and can you have access anytime you want? Or do you need a license, for instance? So we will set up different evaluation criteria on which you will be able to filter those tools. And then at the end, for the different filters that you use, you will have practical example, like those that I just explained, in which you will be able to say, okay, maybe I could use that. So that's the first step. That's the first product that the Tools for CAP project will deliver. But eventually, those tools will also be adapted to the specific need that maybe some of you are facing. I'm going to stop here.